I have two very simple questions for you. Is your podiatry business making the money that you feel it should be making for the amount of time you've been in podiatry? And are you having the time off with your family that you feel you deserve after all the time and effort you've put into your business? If you cannot answer yes to both of those questions, please go to my website, tysonfranklin.com, have a read through the coaching section, and consider reaching out to me. I really look forward to talking to you and helping you where I can. Hi, I'm Tyson Franklin, and welcome to this week's episode of the Podiatry Legends podcast. The podcast is designed to help you feel, see, and think differently about the podiatry profession. Now, if you haven't noticed this year, 2026, I have pulled out a few of my old recordings from the archives. Some of them have been guests that were on some of the earliest episodes of Podiatry Legends that I know some of the newest listeners that have only just recently found the podcast would be totally unaware of, which is why I've pulled them out of the archives. Prior to having Podiatry Legends, I had another podcast called It's No Secret with Dr. T. I did 211 episodes there. And it was a small business and marketing podcast. And some of the guests I had on there were very unique. I have released a few of them. Jesse Cole was one of them, who owns the Savannah Bananas baseball team. Some of the feedback I've had from those episodes from podiatrists has been fantastic. So today I have dragged another one out from It's No Secret with Dr. T. My guest's name is Patrick McFadden. He owned a business called Indispensable Marketing, and he is based in the United States. It is a fantastic episode. We recorded this back in 2018, and it's as relevant today as it was in 2018. What we're going to be talking about is a topic called Rise and Grind. And I want you to sit back, relax, and enjoy this episode. And this episode just opens up with me welcoming Patrick McFadden to the podcast. So sit back and enjoy it. And as I always say, if you love this episode, share it with your podiatry friends. And I'd also love your feedback. Okay, here's Patrick.
I am fantastic, Tyson. How are you today?
I am great. And this concept of Rise and Grind, and I saw it on your Facebook page that you tend to put a lot of quotes out each week. And at the beginning of it, it always says Rise and Grind. What was the Rise and Grind content? What's that all about?
Yeah, for me, it's about being able to get up and do what you need to do while you're awake. I think a lot of people, this is where social media sometimes is bad. It's a lot of people, you ever heard that sometimes it's bad to tell someone your goals because you get as excited and endorphins and all that stuff goes through your body, and you're so excited to tell someone your goals that you don't actually achieve them.
Yes.
I think that's changed now because of social media, is that people get up with the mindset of, I'm going to put this quote out that says rise and grind, and they get more excited about the quote than the actual work that they're going to do. And so rise and grind for me is to get up and actually do what you need to do within the hours that you're awake and that you're focused. And if not, what you will become, without a shadow of a doubt, more than the sun is rising tomorrow, is you will become a undermotivated underachiever, because you get up and you do nothing. You just rise, but you don't put in the work. And so that will eventually make you overmotivated underachiever. And so that's really where it came from for me, is I see a lot of people, they talk about it, but the actual work that you have to do to get up and do what you're supposed to do is not often reflected.
Yeah, I think Daniel Geffen, a guest a couple of episodes back, and he was talking about that, where some people, they become addicted to going to courses and maybe reading books and listening to podcasts, but then they never, they get fired up by it, which is a good thing, but then they never actually go to the next step of just putting in the work that needs to get done afterwards.
Yeah, it's, on one level, I just enjoy the process. I get so excited that I almost try to share, um, when I do a rise and grind, I try to share insight and actionable advice, but I also try to share moments that were captured when I was putting in the work. Typically, as I say, emotional labor and as being a consultant or owning a business is a lot to do with connecting with audiences and stuff like that, and reaching somebody on their level and having empathy. And so a lot of that for me comes during my speeches and my talks. So I try to sometimes try to paint the picture that, look, I'm this is this picture I'm taking while I'm speaking. This is the real work you have to do. You have to, I may be at a networking event trying to connect with someone, learn about their business. That's the real work that you have to do. I think for a lot of us, doing the actual thing that we do is easy, but the hard work is having that difficult conversation with a client, showing up at an event and connecting with a person you don't know, that you don't have a clue about,
Yeah.
um, public speaking. And so for me, that's the rise and grind.
Do you, when you're going to a networking event or you're going to see a client, do you have a planned, an outcome in mind that you're wanting to achieve before you go in there, or you never just go in there blind, like a pre-grind?
Pre-grind, I like that. You know, um, usually I always have a agenda and a reason, a purpose for a meeting. But if you had to say what's the overarching outcome or feeling, I just want to bring as much value as possible and make sure that that person at the end of every meeting or interaction or email says that my time was well spent.
I love that. I like what you mean about bringing value to each person. So whether you're going to a networking event and you're talking to somebody there, or you're going to see a client, your goal is to bring value to that conversation.
Absolutely. I mean, I've never really shared this. So, I obsess about value to the point it's driven within my company, within every interaction. And my team knows this. They know that, when we can, we send out the meeting invites because we want to say, we're going to bring you value and save you time by us setting that invite and sending it to you. We close conversations off with meeting recaps and weekly updates. And I obsessed about, is this interaction, is this email, is this phone call, is this calendar invite, is this referral, is this person meeting me for the first time at the networking event going to bring them value, which means their time was well spent. And so it drives me to the point where I guess that's what makes it my curiosity of wanting to know. Tell me about your business and what you do and who you are, because I'm trying to figure out how can I bring value to you.
Okay, so when you're working with a client and you're meeting them for the first time, you spend a lot of time figuring out who they are and what they do. Then you put a strategy together to actually help them.
Absolutely. That's in that sense, that's how I've decided that I can bring the most value to a client or a prospect. Is once you've fully understood the dynamics of the marketplace. I can give you a real life example of this. We have a client. Actually, I have two examples of this actually, so it's a good day.
Yeah.
um, we work with a local handyman contractor here in Richmond,
Yeah.
and we were having a strategy conversation on what's going on in the marketplace, what are the dynamics we're seeing, what's trending, and we started to notice that the real estate side of our business is starting to try to or is tailing off a little bit. And when we did a little research and dissection, what we found is that the homes are selling, the market's so hot for homes that the work we used to do I used to call it before or pre-listing repairs, which is when a homeowner wanted to sell their home, they had to get these repairs done to make it happen. The homes are selling so fast that people are willing to buy the homes and bypass those repairs. So we weren't getting as many calls from that work anymore. So what we figured is because the marketplace has shifted and we've understood that the problem is the work still needs to be done. It
Yeah.
just needs to be done now on the buyer side. So where we enter the conversation needed to change. Before we were entering on the realtor side with the seller. Now, because the homes are still being sold and that work still needs to be done, we're now asking that the real estate agents incorporate us as for them an additional a value add of, hey, we know you just got the home sold and you're going to still need some things done probably. Here's a resource that we recommend to take care of some of those to-do list things that you end up finding. And so by just thinking through and understanding that the dynamics of the marketplace, we're able to reposition our business and our services to still do the work, but on the other side of the buying process.
That's a great example of actually changing your tactics. The strategy's the same, that the work needs to get done, but the way that you're going about it, like you said, it's instead of it being the seller fixing up the house before the sale, it's the buyer fixing up the house after the sale.
Absolutely. And the second, that's one way we add value to.
Whereas so the handyman, for example, if he wasn't thinking about it and wasn't talking with you about how they're going to actually go about this, may have thrown in the towel, going, "Oh well, none of the sellers want my services anymore," not thinking, "Hang on, that work still needs to actually get done."
You got it. And that's exactly what was going on with our client. They said, "Hey," I said, well, let's take a look at it. Let's examine the marketplace. Let's do a diagnosis before we do any prescriptions. Let's examine and see what's going on. And then when we're able to really dig in and see, okay, it's just the marketplace has shifted. The way the interactions that the seller and the real estate agent, it's okay. So we still know that work needs to be done. And we understand that from our perspective, the real estate agent still wants to have an interaction even after the sale. And they still want to be seen as a valuable resource. And so how we fit into that story or that equation is saying, hey, offer us as an additional solution or value add, and it's going to make you look like the big winner, and they're going to thank you. And it's just easy once you understood what the real estate agent wants and what the homeowner needs.
Yeah,
That's easy.
and that's putting in that's a bit of extra grind. So it's like bonus grind.
That is a bonus grind. And back to what you said, the typical home service contractor would have given up. They would have said, I guess our services, our marketing isn't working anymore, and we need to change the messaging up. We need to switch and the truth was, this was just a little switch. Messaging was fine. We just needed to target it more on the opposite side of the buying process And so, again, like you said, that's part of grind. That is a real grind, because finding that answer, again, what I tell people is that you won't find that hiring somebody to do your website wouldn't give you that insight. Hiring somebody to do your SEO, your content, your social media, your advertising, they don't give you that type of interaction and insight. But my company is built to serve a customer in this capacity. So therefore, we have the time and the allocated resources to give you that type of knowledge and information to make business decisions and float the right way.
This is what I like about your company, and it's exactly the same as the way that I think when I'm working with coaching clients or anybody. It's some people, yeah, like you said, they'll go to an SEO company and that's all they do. They'll do your SEO, but they won't strategize with you. You go to a website developer and they'll do your website, but they're not there to help strategize your business. People should seek, I think, independent third-party companies to help them put their strategies together. Then go, okay, now you need to look at your website, your SEO, and other areas of your business or other areas of marketing.
Yeah, that's the only way marketing is effective. In fact, just today I was thinking about what are some of the common mistakes and things that I hear from small business owners. And one of them is that they think marketing is a magician or it's magic.
Yeah.
And I was just thinking through, like, marketing is a function of the business, right? Just like everything else. And I said, if a business really had clear business goals, and, whether that's we want to retain more clients as a business goal, right? Okay, so what's really supposed to happen is you're supposed to go to your marketing and say, we have a business goal of client retention for 2018, 2019. How does marketing operate in a way to help us with our client retention? Then, and if you're that clear, then you're supposed to go to your HR. Hey, HR, we have a client retention. How does HR help us with client retention? Do we need to retain our own employees so they can have longer relationships with our clients? Maybe that. And so you really start to say, if your business has clear goals, you then go to every single department, HR, billing, marketing, sales, operations, and ask, how do what you're doing within that function within our business help us aid in this goal? And I was like, if they don't have that, there's no way marketing can even work because they're not clear enough on their business goals.
That's brilliant, because I think everyone hears about you need customer, client, or patient retention, and everyone's going, yes, that's what we need to do, but no one. I've never heard anyone say you need to set that as a business goal. And as soon as you set something as a goal, then other things need to be put in motion to actually make that goal achievable. You're then measuring it as well.
Absolutely. And you have clear, I mean, it was such clarity. And by the way, I believe clarity is a competitive advantage, a real differentiator today. I believe if you can bring clarity to people, you're pretty much very unique in the marketplace because it's so much information that people are looking for insight. But for me, it was such like, wow, like it's so clear. If you have that business goal, then you just go around and ask each person, each department, how does HR help us with client retention? How does marketing help us with client retention? How does our billing help us retain clients? And then if you can, and then you really start to put in place things that really drive your business
Yeah.
on that goal that you want to achieve.
You've got me fired up at the moment. I'm just thinking back to when I had my podiatry clinics, and I'm thinking, yeah, customer, or well, we call them patients. Patient retention was really, really important, and it's something that we spoke about often. Yeah, got to retain your patients. That patch up all those holes in the bucket, but we never actually set it as a goal, and then looked at all our different areas of our business to actually achieve that goal of retaining more patients. So that's got me fired up. I'm just disappointed now I don't have the podiatry clinic, but I can help other people. I can help other podiatrists with their businesses to help patch up those holes. Setting that as a goal, I think that's great. Can I just go back one step? You said you had two stories. One was the handyman. I can't let you go
Yep.
without getting that second story, or I know some people that know me will send me direct email and go, Tyson, what happened to the second story? So what was the second story you were going to use as an example?
The second story deals with a client we have that's a law firm. And when we sat down and did our strategy conversations or strategy meeting, just to see what's going on in the marketplace, what's the dynamics, how do clients want to be served, what are the things that competitors are saying, and really we're really coming down to what's the worldview of our customer? What are they getting badgered with every day? What are the things that they're being hit with? What are the different messagings? And for this particular law firm, and they're in the state planning, it was pretty much that in the state of Virginia, probate has become such a nuisance and such a pain and administration fees, and that it's really important now to use what are called revocable living trust.
Yeah,
And so that's now what clients are hearing everywhere. Financial firms are talking about it. Estate planning, our competitors are talking about it. So we decided to, instead of go against the wind, to go with it. And we decided to create a revocable living trust program where we targeted our existing client base to try to really come in and serve a need, because our clients we're in the preventative business. So we like doing planning to prevent probate. And so by understanding our customers' goal, is to eventually avoid probate, we realized we needed to reach back out and make sure that they have adjusted their planning to be in sync with what's going on in terms of the laws and things like that. And that's been a real kicker of a program right now. Our client, like I said, I think before, they're closing literally 50% of what they're sending out. They're getting a nice response. They're getting a 50% response rate as well. But we would have never known we would have never known to create that type of program unless they had that insight around in the diagnosis of what is the current marketplace.
Yeah.
What is it that our customers are hearing? What is it that they ultimately came to us for? What is the real problem that we're trying to solve? And how do we guide them to getting that end outcome of avoiding probate, regardless of the vehicle that it has to be used, whether it's a will, whether it's a last testament, or whether it's a revocable living trust. We're going to make sure that they avoid probate.
Okay, so when you're working with a client, is there a certain time period that you do in 3-month blocks, 6-month, or is it something that once someone engages you, they work with you on a monthly basis and there is no set time?
Yeah, so we have a strategy consulting package that takes between 60 to 90 days. Sometimes we can get it done in 45, depending on the size of the organization. But that's a one-time package to come in and do. But what me and you just discussed is that the dynamics of the marketplace changes. And so a lot of times you almost need to do it quarterly or at least semi-annually. For us, if you're a client that goes with our programs where we actually manage strategy and the implementation of the plan, then we kind of meet month to month, and the strategy sessions are just part of a natural conversation because we're always trying to focus on the customer and how do we, just learn more about them and get close to the truth, which is the customer, as possible.
So one part will be the strategy session, say 60 to 90 days. And then you said sometimes you help them with the implementation. So if somebody needs a new website, say the website's a bit outdated, do you build the website yourself, or you direct them to where they need to get the website done, or you work with the website developer and get the job done? You're like the go-between.
Yep. So a lot of our clients want to stay out of the weeds.
I like that. Stay out of the weeds.
They do. And that's an ideal client for us would say, I want to revamp my website, but I don't want to be in meetings talking about text size, colors, photographs. I don't want to just show me the baby without the labor.
Yeah.
And I said, okay.
Sorry. That just made me laugh.
Yeah. And so what we do is we will actually, lead the charge and from a strategy standpoint and instruct the website designers on what our client is looking for, but leave the creative freedom to them. Because at that point, we can say we're trying to reach a customer like this. These are the things they struggle with. These are the things that they hope to achieve. This is what life kind of looks like. Now we need you as a creative to take this information and make this written word, these written words visually come to life on the website and speak to this customer. But we'll manage that process and keep the owner out of it. And so at the end of the day, they can just say yay or nay and what things they would like to change.
So if they already have a website developed, you look at it and you go, that looks like a dog's bowl. It needs to be cleaned, or just totally remade. Do you go back to their website developer, or do you have certain website developers that you work with strategically, or you go back to theirs and you liaise with them to keep them out of the weeds?
Well, that's a good question because we do get that question a lot. We actually do both.
Oh, good.
Yeah. So if someone has a website developer that they enjoy and love and have a relationship with, and they just need direction from a strategy standpoint,
Yeah.
then we just come on in and collaborate with the designer and say, hey, we're not, because we have to be very clear. We're not trying to steal your customer or the business. Who we are is a strategic marketing firm and we develop a marketing process and we manage this. And we're here to make sure you actually retain your client longer. So by doing the things that we map out, you can just, and it's going to, and what they end up finding is here's my like pitch for web developers. And I always say, don't you hate being on revision 50?
Yeah.
And they're like, yeah, the client doesn't know what they want. They keep revising. I was like, we get you to revision 2 or 3. That's it. Really? So you know what that means? More money in your pocket because you don't have to be doing all these revisions and you
Yeah.
spend less time. And they're like, oh, so you can actually improve the profitability of my website agency. Absolutely. Because when we're on board, we're going to have a very defined customer message, the problems we solve, who we want to reach, and all of it. And they're like, oh, and actually, they usually learn to enjoy us.
That is so that's great. So you can, and so this is where you would get a lot of referral business from different businesses. So do you do the same thing with SEO companies and online and offline marketing companies? Do you liaise with them as well, or do you actually do some of that yourself? You actually place the ads, get a commission, that type of thing.
Nope, no commission sharing here. It's the same type of engagement. In
Beautiful.
fact, advertisers love us because one thing we know for sure, more than the sun's rising tomorrow, is that if a small business owner runs ads with a salesperson, they're probably going to cancel in 3 to 6 months
Yeah.
because. And so what we do is often come in and actually explain and do the education process for the salesperson of saying, if we go with these, if we're going to run this advertising, it needs to be for a year. And and then we also set the expectations for the advertiser. We need to have tracking a phone number that's going to be trackable. We need to have all these things in place for us to go with you because it has to be measured. And so we're taking precautions to protect our client as well as protect the advertiser because it does them no good to have a client sign up and leave in 3 months because they didn't
Yeah.
get enough traction. And so and we're just trying to make a win-win. Our client needs to reach a subset of the customer base. You have the attention of that customer base. Let's figure out how we can reach our audience and you be the medium to make that happen. But they end up loving us because usually they're going to retain their client longer because we have the right messaging, call to actions, and all that stuff that they would be guessing on, we actually can solidify.
Yeah, I like what you said about making sure you can measure everything, because I think it doesn't matter whether it's online or offline. It could be old school, a newspaper. And I know some people in the online world go screaming, waving their hands above their head at the moment, saying, "Oh no, newspaper's dead." But for certain businesses, it's not. But I always think if you can't measure it, then you shouldn't do it, because you need to be able to measure it. So even if you're doing an old newspaper ad, if you can measure and it's bringing in 10 times more than you're spending, then it's like, how much do you want to make?
Heck, Tyson, I lost a client that we doubled their business
Yeah,
because because I didn't put in place a measurement component. And what was funny, and this is why we do everything that we do in our businesses very intentional now, for the point of we having weekly updates that go out, monthly review meetings, strategy conversations. Everything's intentional in my business based off experience. But we lost a client that we doubled their business because we didn't acknowledge the results that we had provided. And
yeah,
so they assumed that it was them, that it was their efforts and what they had done to double the business. And that was a real clear indicator for me that repeat business is always linked to some type of way of reviewing results or results reviews. If you're if you're a podiatrist and I need comfortable feet, and you give me an orthotic or change something, and now you need to measure that? Hey, 2 week follow up. Are your feet more comfortable? Yes. I'm glad I was able to measure and get you the outcome you came to us for. And in every business, there's always a way to measure the results that people or the outcome that people wanted. If you're an insurance agent and you say you could save me $500, come back to me 6 months later, a year, and ask me, did I save the $500 that you promised me? If you're saying you can protect my home because of security alarms, how many times did a potential intruder step up? Were they zero notifications of a break-in? You're measuring the fact that my home is safe and acknowledging the results. I will always do repeat business with you.
No, that's good advice, and I believe that it's just there's got to be measurable points in everything you're doing, especially like when you're dealing with people or patients. There's got to be a measurable outcome. You can't just do treatment and then expect people to just let you know when everything's good. You need to make sure it's good and let them know that you were a big part of that. It wasn't the advice they got from their mother-in-law.
That is, I could see that. Well, it was the advice my mother-in-law gave me that made my feet more,
She told me
comfortable.
if I got a silver spoon and rubbed it on my knee every night before I went to bed, that would actually help my knee. And you know what? I think that actually did the job. Those inserts you put in my shoes, I don't know. I can't see how a bit of plastic or a bit of rubber could actually do anything. So, oh, geez, I've heard it all. I've got a question for you about, we've been talking about rise and grind, which I love this concept about people getting in there and grinding. And also you've got to do the grind yourself. When you're with a client, you're doing your strategy session. Sounds like there's a lot of grind in there. And we've talked about pre-grind, grind, and almost like a bonus grind. How do you manage your time each day? Working with clients, you must have a lot going on, dealing with so many different people. How do you manage your time, right, from getting up in the morning till the end of the day? Is there a process you go through?
Really, it's delegation.
No, delegation's good.
Yeah, for me, managing my time really comes down to the delegation. Really, I've already set out the things that I enjoy to do, and I delegate the rest to my team. And um, I do say no a lot because I believe the moment you say yes, you're also saying no to other things. And so
Yeah.
for me, I say no a lot. I turn people down. It's just, and you may catch me on a good day and we're having a chat or coffee or something. But that's how I manage my time, is with the power of no, a calendar, and a team.
Yeah, there's a friend of mine in Cairns, Sam Harrop, and there was something that he said that by having, I'm probably going to bugger up the way that he said it, or how he explained it. He was talking about when you have your day mapped out properly, in your diary, and you know exactly what you're doing, and somebody says, oh, so can we have a coffee at 2:00? And you've already got something scheduled in there, and you just go, no, sorry, I can't. If they don't have a tight schedule, they will adjust their schedule around you. You don't have to adjust yours around them. And therefore, you'll get a lot more done because you're not sort of just winging it all day.
I find that to be true. I'm grateful to be at a point in my business and my marketing consultancy where people do bend over and I'll come meet you. I don't care if it's 5 minutes. Can I chat on the phone for 2 minutes? And like you said, unfortunately, if it's not in the calendar, sometimes I always say what gets scheduled gets done. And if it's not getting scheduled, then like I said, you may catch me sometimes. Really, I'm gonna tell you one thing that I've also done. I've made a huge stride to make speaking. I hate saying networking because most people believe networking is just attending an event, but
Yeah.
I've made speaking to also be my form of networking, where I'm connecting people. People show up and say, hey, I know you, somebody told me in order to meet you, I need to come to this event. And so then when they come to this, and then other people show up to this event, and I end up connecting people that need to be connected, saving me time. But by intentionally doing that during my talks, I will invite people to say, hey, I'm inviting this person. You also need to meet them. Come to my talk. I'll connect you to before I get on stage.
Yeah, I love connecting people. I actually get a real buzz out of connecting people, especially through podcasting. I've done that a lot. Even Sam Harrop, that I was just talking to before, previous guest, Denise Griffith, and he was listening to her podcast, because she was talking a lot about virtual assistants. And he said, oh, definitely, I need to get one of them. And I said, well, you know what? I'll do an introduction through Facebook for both of you. And then I know they've now connected and are probably working together, through a podcast that I've done. But connecting people is such a good feeling, especially when you're doing it not for any personal gain whatsoever.
Oh yeah, people are shocked. Some people say, "So what's your commission?" I'm like, what do you mean? Well, you went out of your way to introduce that person to me. So I was like, no, there's no gimmick, no commission, no back end fee. I'm just, you have a problem. I'm just connecting you.
Jordan Harbinger said it perfectly on a podcast I was listening to, and he said, dig the well before you need the water. And it was all about connecting with people and networking, and with different people you don't even know. Get to know them now before you really need their help. And I just believe that so much. Yeah, that dig the well before you need the water.
Yeah, I always, I tell people, ask me, especially people who are doing startups, and they're like, what's the grade? I said, your network is your net worth. I was like, well, when should I get a network?
Yeah.
12 months before you. If I had to put a number on it, I always say you need to start networking. And I really get networking out the way. You need to be building real relationships.
Yeah.
12 months before you actually need them. Because it just takes time to get to know people. And then, I don't know why this is on my mind, but I just need to get it off because I know it adds value to someone. I used to get asked a lot when I was at my corporate job, and then I eventually left. How do you know when it's time? What indicators, give you the confidence to really move forward? And I always say, if you're able to generate for 90 days straight half of your take-home pay from your corporate or your full-time job, that's a good signal that if you did it full-time, you would be okay. But you have to do it for 3 months in a row, half of your full-time job or career income. So you got to do half of that for 3 months straight. Then that's a good signal for financial stability and all the other things that if you did it full-time, you would be okay.
And that's your indicator when it's time to actually make the shift.
Yep.
Okay. Hey, we're coming towards the end. I could talk to you all day, quite easily. And when we spoke last week, you gave us the Monday morning tip. So I don't want to give you another Monday morning tip, but have you got any parting advice for anybody listening to this, just about whether it's about rise and grind or tactics and strategies, just anything that's parting words from you that when they finish listening to this, they go, that Patrick McFadden is one switched on dude?
Yeah, my parting advice is to make sure that you're listening to yourself and you're building your business on your strengths, not on the strengths of someone else. I think too many people are listening to a lot of other people and they're trying to emulate or mock or copy the things that are strengths of other people, when they really just need to dial in and say, what are my strengths, and go all in.
Okay, so find what your strengths are and basically run this. So don't waste time on your weaknesses trying to improve your weaknesses. Take your strengths and just run with it.
That's what I do.
So do you think people, if they've got weaknesses in certain areas, they should just delegate that out and then, like you said, just put the time into the strength? Or there's some weaknesses that, give you an example, would be public speaking. If someone says, oh, I can't do public speaking, do you think they're missing out on too many opportunities by not at least getting better at it?
Yes and no. So I believe if you severely hate public speaking, then what are you good at? Are you good at webinars? Are you good at trainings? Are you good at teaching in different types of educational environments? So you would probably be, rather than speaking on stage, maybe you're better at doing workshops.
Okay.
So go all in on workshops.
But I agree with you. If some people just hate it that much, but they've got strength in other areas, then maybe don't do the public speaking. Maybe make sure you've got, I think every business If you can't get out there and talk to people, then you need to have somebody in your business that can get out there and talk to people.
Yes, delegate it.
Yeah, delegate your public speaking. Yes, I'd love to do that talk. And here's John, and he'll do it for me today. And if you think John was good, you should have seen how good I would have been. But you know what? I've just delegated that today. So, Patrick, this has been a lot of fun. I think anyone listening to this today would, if they haven't picked up anything, as I usually say, give yourself an uppercut, go back and listen to it again, because you obviously weren't listening. So, Patrick, thank you for being on the show again.
Thank you. Take care.
Well, I hope you enjoyed this re-release of the episode with Patrick McFadden. I thought some of the things he shared were just, like I said, were as relevant or are as relevant today as they were in 2018. But three things I want to just mention again, just to highlight these 3 points. The first one was when he was talking about rise and grind. Get up and just get things done and stay focused for the day. I think that is really important. The second thing I want to mention again is be aware of how the marketplace is changing, how patients' thinking is changing, and maybe the types of treatment that they're wanting is changing. And it's always diagnosis comes before prescription. So work out, what does your business need first, then work out the prescription. What is it you're going to do to make that achievable? I talk about this in my marketing workshops as well. The third thing I want to say, or just highlight, is having clear business goals, because clarity is a competitive advantage. If you have clear goals on what you want to achieve for yourself personally, for your business, for your career, that is a competitive advantage over other people who do not have clear goals. So I hope you got something from that. If you're enjoying these episodes that I'm dragging out from the past, which I'm enjoying bringing them to you, please let me know. You can send me an email either at tf@tysonfranklin.com or tyson@podiatrylegends.com. If you have not checked out the Podiatry Legends website, please go and check that out. And if you're enjoying this podcast, tell your podiatry friends. And if you're really enjoying it, I would love a rating and review on whatever podcast platform you happen to be listening to, or listening to this episode on. Okay, that's it for me this week. I want you to look after yourself, look after your family, and I will talk to you again next week. Bye for now.